The world stands at the edge of silence. What once was constant motion, cities alive with light, voices rising in endless noise, now trembles under the weight of something unseen. The kingdoms of men, built upon arrogance and pride, begin to sway like towers of sand before the tide. Empires that claimed eternity now whisper their last breath to the wind. The stars above, witnesses of all ages, dim one by one, as though mourning the fall of creation itself. The universe holds its breath, and in that stillness, judgment rises. No one expected the end to sound like this. No explosions, no chaos, only the slow unraveling of everything familiar. The kings of the earth look to their gold and find it worthless, their armies scattered like dust. Thrones once worshipped by millions stand empty. The monuments of man crack under invisible pressure, and the ground itself rebels. Cities collapse inward, drawn down into the darkness they created. The proud bow their heads not out of reverence, but out of fear. They feel it, something ancient awakening, something no power can resist. The stars flicker, and a light brighter than fire begins to rise from beyond the horizon. It is not dawn, it is revelation. The heavens split, revealing the throne that has waited since before time began. The nations tremble, realizing that prophecy was never myth, that the words written in ancient scrolls were not metaphor, but memory of what would come again. From every corner of the world, eyes lift upward as if drawn by force. Every tongue that once mocked now falls silent. The truth cannot be argued with when it stands before you, radiant and terrible. Mountains shake, seas roar in defiance. The sky burns with color and flame, yet no heat touches the chosen. The air is thick with holiness. Angels move through the clouds like lightning given form. They do not speak, yet their presence shouts louder than any human voice. The stars themselves seem to fall in reverence, cascading like tears of the cosmos. Humanity finally sees what it denied: the power, the authority, the justice that no king could counterfeit. The world watches its reflection crumble before the glory of the one who made it. Every heartbeat is a countdown. The kingdoms fall one after another, not by war, but by revelation. Truth itself tears down the walls. Babylon, once drunk with arrogance, is silent. The false idols of progress lie shattered. The towers of technology, once the pride of mankind, flicker and fade. Screens go dark. The networks of man fail as the divine signal overwhelms them. The planet itself groans as though relieved, as though the infection of pride has finally met its cure. The soil trembles, not in fear, but in freedom, and still the stars fall, each one a reminder that nothing created by man can outshine the Creator. The galaxies swirl in patterns unseen before, bowing in motion before the throne that stands eternal. Like bends, time halts. Everything that ever was now faces what always will be. In the distance, the trumpet sounds, a tone so pure it shakes the soul. Those who know its meaning fall to their knees, while others clutch their hearts in disbelief. The sound divides reality, marking those who belong to the kingdom and those who chose the world. The judgment has begun, not as punishment but as unveiling. The rivers turn red not with blood, but with reflection, the crimson glow of divine fire sweeping across the horizon. Oceans boil not from wrath, but from purification. Every living thing feels the call of the Maker. Birds cry out mid-flight, beasts roar in trembling acknowledgement. Humanity, for all its technology and pride, stands powerless before holiness. In that powerlessness, some find despair, but others find peace. For the righteous, this is not the end. It is the fulfillment of every promise whispered since Eden, the dawn of justice, the rise of glory, the fall of all illusion, and then silence again. The kind that precedes a voice. From beyond the veil of light, a sound breaks through, deep, ancient, commanding. It is not anger, it is authority. Every atom of creation vibrates with it. The voice speaks once, and the earth answers with thunder. The seas flatten, the winds obey. It is the voice that said, "Let there be light," now speaking again, "It is time." And at that word, every spirit feels the shift. The world has crossed a line that cannot be uncrossed. The kingdoms of men are no more. The kingdom of heaven has risen. Those who believed lift their faces toward the radiance. They are not afraid. The light does not consume them, it completes them. Their tears are turned to gold, their fear to song. They see the king upon his throne, eyes like fire, voice like many waters. And they know this is not destruction. This is restoration. The curse is breaking. The earth is being remade. The stars fall only so that a greater light can take their place. The time of kingdoms is over. The time of eternity has begun. If this message touched your heart, don't ignore the call. Share this video with those who still need to wake up. Subscribe for more revelations and stand firm, because the kingdom is coming and the king is near. The fire did not fade. It spread, not as destruction but as illumination. Mountains that once stood proud now bowed in molten humility, and valleys long hidden were filled with radiant light. The air shimmered with energy, as the atmosphere itself seemed to remember the breath of its creator. The world had entered an awakening beyond human comprehension. Every shadow fled from the brightness. Every secret was revealed. Judgment had arrived, but not as vengeance. It came as clarity. Every heart now saw itself as it truly was, stripped of deception, naked before eternity. Those who once ruled trembled before the revelation of true authority. Their crowns melted into the earth, their titles vanished into silence. The power of nations became as mist before the wind of divine presence. The mighty realized they had built their empires upon lies, their monuments upon the bones of the forgotten. The poor, the humble, the faithful, the ones ignored by history, were lifted in honor. The order of creation was reversed. The last became first. The forgotten became heirs. This was not chaos. It was restoration. The scales of eternity were finally balanced. The stars continued to fall, streaking across the heavens like silver tears. Each one carried the echo of a fulfilled prophecy, a reminder that nothing spoken by the Almighty returns void. The galaxies pulsed as though alive, joining the rhythm of divine judgment. The moon turned red like a living flame, suspended in the void, and the sun dimmed in reverence. The universe itself bowed to the one seated on the throne. The moment had come when creation could no longer remain silent. Every planet, every atom, every particle sang the same song. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory, and yet amidst that unbearable beauty there was weeping. Not the weeping of pain, but of realization. Men and women saw for the first time what they had refused to believe. The love they mocked, the cross they dismissed, the truth they buried under convenience. The revelation cut deeper than any sword. They saw the eyes of the king, eyes that burned with both judgment and compassion. Those eyes did not condemn without mercy. They offered what the world had rejected, redemption. But for many, the moment had passed. The time for grace was closing. The time for truth had come. Across the globe, the impossible unfolded. Oceans withdrew from their shores, revealing the bones of centuries. Mountains split open like wounds in the earth, exposing rivers of fire that flowed with divine purpose. Lightning carved symbols into the sky, ancient words that only the awakened could understand. Nations screamed not out of rebellion but out of awe. Scientists stood speechless as the laws they trusted dissolved before their eyes. Nothing made sense anymore because the world had never belonged to them. It always belonged to him. Those who had mocked the idea of a creator now fell to their knees, whispering prayers they once ridiculed. The arrogant were reduced to dust, and the broken were crowned with hope. The meek shone brighter than the flames around them, clothed in peace amidst the chaos. It was not religion that saved them, it was relationship. The light recognized its own, wrapping them in warmth, while the unrepentant hid among the ruins. Angels descended through the atmosphere, brilliant like burning mirrors, carrying scrolls of justice and mercy. The earth quaked not from fear, but from anticipation. Heaven was reclaiming its creation. The trumpet sounded again, louder this time, deeper, resonating through bone and spirit alike. Its sound crossed dimensions, awakening the dead and silencing the living. Graves broke open, oceans stirred, and the breath of God swept through the dust of every forgotten body. From ashes arose forms of light, men and women resurrected into glory. The faithful were changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye. Corruption gave way to immortality. What death once owned, grace now reclaimed. The armies of heaven stood assembled, not for war, but for coronation. The king was returning, and his kingdom would have no end, and the stars fell still. The firmament that had once burned now glowed like molten gold. Out of that brilliance came the rider on the white horse, clothed in light, crowned with many crowns. His name burned across the sky. Faithful and true, his eyes were fire, his robe dipped in blood, and upon his thigh was written, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. The nations beheld him in silence. Every leader, every ruler, every soul recognized the authority that no weapon could challenge. The armies of heaven followed him, their armor reflecting his glory. They carried no weapons, for his word alone was power. The sword from his mouth, the truth itself, cut through every falsehood, every deception, every lie ever spoken. The ground trembled as his steps touched the earth. The cities of pride fell in dust, and from their ruins rose songs of praise. The idols shattered, the systems crumbled, the false prophets were silenced. Every knee bent, willingly or not. The Lamb who had been slain now stood as the Lion of Judah, roaring across the heavens with power and victory. His roar became a song that reached every heart still beating, calling them home. It was not destruction, it was restoration through fire. The curse that had gripped the earth since Eden was undone in that single moment of divine truth. The rivers of fire turned to rivers of life. The oceans reflected light instead of blood. The trees, once scorched, burst into eternal bloom. The earth, cleansed by judgment, began to sing again. The song was not in language, it was in essence. Every leaf, every grain of sand, every breeze carried praise. Humanity stood on sacred ground, reborn from ashes, purified through truth. The ones who had endured lifted their hands, not in fear, but in triumph. They saw the new dawn rising. Not the light of the sun, but the radiance of the sun. Heaven and earth met without boundary. Time itself dissolved into eternity. And as the king looked upon his creation, his voice thundered once more, Behold, I make all things new. If these words stir your soul, don't remain silent. The time to return to truth is now. Share this message with the world before the silence returns. Subscribe, spread the word, and stand in the light, because soon every eye will see and every heart will know. The King is coming. The earth stands reborn under a sky that has forgotten darkness. The fire of judgment has passed, leaving behind not ashes, but light. The mountains glow with quiet reverence. The oceans breathe peace again. The stars, once falling, now rise anew, reborn as beacons in a universe cleansed by truth. Time itself feels different. It no longer races toward destruction. It expands, infinite, open, eternal. The curse is gone. The war between heaven and earth has ended. The King reigns, not from a distant throne, but from the center of all creation. And every living thing knows his name. The survivors of the storm stand in awe. Their tears have turned to diamonds under the sunlight of eternity. They walk upon ground once scorched by wrath, now soft with new life. Trees rise again from the soil, bearing fruit that never rots. Rivers flow with light instead of water. Children laugh without fear, and the air hums with melody. The quiet rhythm of creation healed. The nations that once warred now embrace under banners of holiness. There are no more weapons, no more lies, no more kings. Only one sovereign remains, and his kingdom has no borders. His presence fills everything. The Lamb stands upon the mountain of the new world. His eyes, once filled with sorrow, now burn with joy. The marks of the nails remain, not as scars of pain, but as symbols of victory. Every wound he bore now shines like a jewel upon his hands. Around him gather the redeemed, those who kept their faith when the world fell apart. They wear robes of white fire, their faces illuminated by the glory they reflect. They sing, not out of duty, but out of completion. It is the song of the universe restored, the sound of justice fulfilled. Every note echoes through eternity. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain, and the stars, now steady in the heavens, bear witness to the unending reign of light. Galaxies spin in worship. The moon, once blood-red, glows silver again, like a tear wiped from the face of time. The sun burns with gentleness, not fury. The earth is young once more. The seasons move in perfect harmony, untouched by death or decay. Every living thing exists in peace, not because it is forced to, but because it finally understands the heart of its maker. There is no night here. The Lamb himself is the light. The redeemed walk through a city unlike any ever known, a city built not by hands, but by holiness. Its walls shimmer like crystal, its streets shine like mirrors of gold. There is no temple, for the Lord himself is the dwelling place. A river flows from the throne, clear as glass, and on either side stand trees of life, their branches heavy with fruit for every nation. Their leaves heal what pain once left behind. No one hungers, no one hides, no one weeps. Every soul, from the first to the last, finds rest in the eternal morning. And there, above the horizon of eternity, the King speaks again. His voice is softer now, but every being hears it. It is the sound of purpose fulfilled, of promise kept. It is done, he says, and the words ripple through creation like waves of peace. Every memory of sorrow dissolves into joy. Every question finds its answer. The story of pain is rewritten as the story of grace. The fall of kingdoms was never the end. It was the beginning of the restoration of all things. The heavens resound with endless music. The angels who once wept now dance in the brightness of fulfilled glory. Their wings spread across the firmament like living flames. They no longer guard, no longer fight. They celebrate. The war is over. The serpent is gone. Death itself is dead. Life reigns eternal. And in the midst of the chorus, the King smiles. His creation is whole again, and his children are home. The stars that once fell now shine brighter than ever, their light a testament to redemption's power. What was broken is perfect again, and yet beyond the beauty a call remains, a whisper to the hearts of those still bound by time. The story of the fall and the rise is not just ancient prophecy. It is the truth written into every human soul. The voice of the King still echoes across ages, calling to all who wander, "Come home." The doors of mercy remain open for now. The hands that shape the stars are still stretched toward humanity. The same light that judged also forgives. The same fire that purged also refines. The same King who reigns in eternity still waits for the lost to return before the final silence. This is the moment of decision, the last dawn before forever. The kingdoms of man still build their towers, still chase their idols of gold and glory, but their foundations are dust. The signs have spoken, the heavens have testified, and the stars themselves have declared it. Judgment has come, mercy has prevailed, and eternity stands ready. The question is not whether the King will return, he already has. The question is whether the heart will recognize him when he calls, and then comes peace, pure, endless, absolute. The sound of creation fades into a gentle hum of worship. The Lamb stands radiant and victorious. Around him the redeemed kneel, not out of fear, but adoration. The heavens blaze with uncreated light, and the final truth settles upon all existence. The kingdoms fell, the stars fell, and judgment rose. Not to destroy, but to restore. And now, at last, the world breathes in harmony with its Creator. The throne stands forever, and the King reigns without end. This is not just a story, it's a warning and a promise. The time of waiting is short, the light is near. If your heart felt the call, share this message before the silence returns. Subscribe, spread the truth, and let the world know the kingdoms have fallen, but the King has risen, and his reign is forever.